Hello, it's Debbie O'Connor from Mum's the Boss here, and today I am talking with Nigel Bromilow, the Managing Director of WuduMate. Hello, Nigel. Nice to see you.
Hello.
So, would you like to tell me a little bit about WuduMate and what the company does?
Yeah, WuduMate have been going 15 years now, and we have developed a range of washing appliances for Muslims to wash their feet in before prayer, which is an obligatory ritual that they should be doing. Um, and that should be done 5 times a day. And in the workplace or when they're traveling, that's very difficult because there are very rarely appropriate appliances for people to wash their feet in. So the idea crossed my desk many years ago, and we started the development and production of the larger units we make, and they're quite bulky, our units. They're sort of don't go in a little box, they go into a box which is maybe 3 or 4 foot long, and weighs up to 35 kilograms. So that can be a bit of a challenge when you're shipping. So we soon found out the logistics from the manufacturer to our office was key. And that was something I knew nothing about when I started, having got a software background, where you could send millions of pounds worth of product over the internet for no cost. But suddenly moving cartons as a logistics challenge was something completely new. And we started importing. Well, we manufactured originally in England when the costs just were too high, so we transferred the manufacturing to the Far East. But that meant that we had to bring product in, and we soon learned that you can't cost effectively bring product in on pallets. It has to be in a 20-foot or a 40-foot container. Otherwise, the cost per unit is just too high. So, and that's volume. You have to get to a stage where you can justify the volume of a container. It's very difficult to share containers from China. It has to be a single source container to be effective. And we learned that pretty quickly. And if you get it wrong, you can waste a hell of a lot of money on your freight. And the duty is calculated on the product cost and the freight. So you lose 2 times. You lose on the freight cost itself, and you lose on the duty. And getting that product from the factory to our warehouse, there's various legs. There's the cost from the factory to the port onto a boat, or the ship all the way through, normally the Suez Canal to the UK, and then from the dock through to the warehouse, each one incurring costs. So by the time it's got it here, that has incurred a lot of cost on the product. And then to make matters worse, if we want to service some of our worldwide clients, and we do ship all over the world to either distributors or projects. So if we then on-ship those products to Australia, they again incur more costs, more freight to the ship to the other side of the world, to Sydney, say, from Sydney to the warehouse there, always picking up costs. So by the time you move this around, the costs on your products, most of it's logistics. The product cost is quite small at the end of the day.
Is there a problem with customs as well? Is it forms and things to fill in, or?
We outsource that. We have to fill in various forms, and we used to outsource the filling of the forms, but it just didn't. That wasn't cost effective. So we do all that now, and we know what to do. But there's a few forms, and as long as you've got a freight forwarder who knows what he's doing, that's not too bad. Likewise, customs coming in, there can be quite a lot of forms and duty and so on, but your freight forwarder should be able to help and take the burden off you. Although currently, with the recent change with Brexit, we have got some ongoing nightmares with customs. Shipping to Northern Ireland sounds simple, and that is just proving almost impossible at the moment. Shipping to Europe and Southern Ireland and Europe is also an absolute nightmare. We've set up a company in Holland to try and expedite that. We're still working on that, but it is difficult, and Brexit has made it far more difficult for sure, and expensive. To the extent that our home market, selling to homes in Europe, when the cost of the product gets more, or the cost of the freight becomes more than the product, people don't want to buy it. So it's really affecting us in our international markets, certainly Europe.
Mm. So if somebody was setting up a business now, would you recommend that they get sort of outsourced help and get specialists to do things like this for shipping? Or
Yeah, we've come across the hurdles and we've gradually knocked them off one by one. I think the best is you ask a lot of logistics companies and they don't actually know. So we have had that experience. We've been a bit like the blind leading the blind, but we are getting there and we're learning by our experience. Ireland not quite solved, but I think I know how to solve it. Europe not quite solved, but we think we know how to solve that. And then over the last 18 months, there's been this massive hike in freight costs, 6 times what we were paying from the Far East. And how do we solve that? I don't think anyone can solve that. So, but all these are challenges, and you've also got the rest of the business to run. So, logistics is a really key part of a business. So it shouldn't be ignored because that can be the make or break, no doubt about it.
lovely. Thank you very much, Nigel. I think that's very helpful, and I hope that everybody will find that useful. Thank you.
Well, all I can say is WuduMate, we're small, but we've got a sort of worldwide footprint. So we've learned basically the hard way. And
tell us some of the places that you've supplied the WuduMate units to.
Well, we've got a warehouse in Australia and Canada and America. So we ship to those and then we instruct those warehouses to ship. And then we have distributors in Africa, Middle East, all the GCC countries, East, West, South Africa, and New Zealand. And we're now looking at Asia. So we really want to expand our footprint to Asia to become really global. We still pop things on airplanes, which is another key logistics challenge because things get broken. I should have mentioned that. When you're shipping, you have to have a logistics partner who doesn't break the product because broken product is just money out of your pocket. The insurance is paid on a minimal about 50p in the pound, so you get very little for the insurance. And then you've got to reship the product again, so you incur new costs. So you want to make sure they're packaged really well, put on appropriate pallets and shrink wrapped, but even then they can get dropped and everything else. So yeah, there's lots of challenges, but make sure you have a logistics partner who knows what they're doing.
That sounds like very good advice. Lovely. Thank you very much, Nigel.
It's a pleasure. And now I'm going to go back